Hey, my name is Hugh Johnson for the Denver Post Game On blog, and we have a real treat for all of you today. We'll be joined by Steve Papoutsis. He is the executive producer for the upcoming Battlefield Hardline, which hits stores tomorrow for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and the PC. Steve, want to thank you for joining us today, and how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, Hugh. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited about the launch coming up for Hardline.
Right, right. So tell me a little bit. We were talking a little bit before. What's the event planned for tomorrow? You guys are going to a GameStop in San Francisco, you said?
Yeah, a bunch of the team is going to go to tonight to a midnight launch for the game. So they're going to be there. They're going to be signing copies and having fun with the players that are coming out to pick up their game. And then tomorrow at the studio, we're going to have a bunch of different stuff going on. I think we're going to have a special food truck with donuts and snacks in the morning, and then we're gonna play the game and kind of hang out and keep our eyes peeled and our ears open to hear how people are receiving the game.
Cool, cool. Well, you guys launched Hardline Beta last month, which showcased some of the game's multiplayer. So today I'm going to focus a little bit on the single player aspect. So why did you guys decide to focus on a more domestic struggle this time around? What is it about cops and robbers that you'll think people will find appealing?
Well, gee, about 3 years ago when we started talking about making the game, one of the things that was really attractive to us was how Battlefield has traditionally been able to go from era to era. You know, they've had 1942, the World War II theme, then they've had 2142 that went into the future, they had Vietnam, they had the Bad Company series, then they had the recent ones that are kind of modern military. And as I was talking to Carl Magnus over at DICE, I asked him, hey, have you guys ever thought about exploring other themes besides military? And we just started talking about cops and criminals and how those two factions seemed like they would work in the context of a Battlefield game. And he smiled and said, hey, yeah, we thought of that. And he then asked us, you know, hey, would Visceral be interested in making a game like that? And that was kind of the genesis of the idea. Of course, it then went to the design team and the entire team to figure out how to make that game. But conceptually, it kind of just was born out of the idea of enjoying a lot of great action films and buddy cop movies and things like that. That just seemed like it would be a good fit.
Cool, cool. So, Steve, give us a quick synopsis of what the game is about. What can you reveal for us? What can our players expect?
Well, the game, in terms of overall, the game's about speed, story, and strategy. Those are the three pillars that the team really focused on throughout the development. But if you want a synopsis of the single-player campaign specifically, it's a visceral story of crime and revenge focused on Nick Mendoza, who's a rookie detective in Miami. And it kind of follows his journey throughout the campaign, and there's some turns there, of course, and it kind of focuses on him, and it's more of a personal story. It's more about people over plot, right? So it's not about saving the world. It's more about the interactions of Nick and his particular struggle and interacting with the various characters he encounters throughout the campaign.
Okay, well, kind of piggybacking off that, according to one of the battle blogs out there, Hardline will be more episodic in nature. How is that different from what you guys have done in the past? And how will that change the way people experience Battlefield?
Well, one of the things that was really interesting when we started researching kind of the theme and what we wanted to do, we realized quickly that a lot of the stuff that we like Justified, The Wire, the TV shows, obviously are episodic. So as we started looking at it, we realized that was a really good analog for video games in the sense that, games are broken and constructed of levels a lot of the time. So, we just thought we'd map the idea of a level to an episode. So as you played through the game, each level felt like an episode of TV. So, to have its inciting incident, it'd have its big turning point, it'd have its climax and the resolution. And so we kind of constructed the entire game around that idea and partnered with people like Wendy Calhoun, one of the writers from Justified, to understand how, the flow of a TV series works over the course of a season. So that was one of the main drivers and probably why people are talking about that. The other thing we've done is we've tried to wrap in some of the cool presentation elements that you see on TV. Ideas like previously on. When you go to watch your favorite show and you turn it on, it gives you a quick little update on what happened last time. And then, of course, the next time on, which is the big teaser. And we also brought that into multiplayer. Rather than just show a static image of the map that you were going to play, we provide some dialogue, some voiceover that kind of sets up the event, like robbery in progress in downtown Los Angeles, to kind of bring people into the fiction there too. We wanted to wrap the whole game in that TV style presentation, so it felt like you were watching a late breaking news development or watching your favorite series on TV.
Okay. Since the story is episodic in nature, can we expect more DLC, like more episodes released as DLC, rather?
We don't have anything in that nature planned right now, but certainly it comes up a lot. A lot of people ask that, or even to the point of thinking that was how the game was going to be delivered. But really, that's not what it was about. It's more about just thinking of this game as one season, perhaps, is a good way to think about it. And if anything down the road comes up, certainly the episodic nature could work. So it kind of leaves it open for that. But right now, we don't have plans for that.
All right. So a press release reported, and you mentioned it earlier, that you guys are working with a lot of advisors from hit TV shows like Justified, as you just said, House of Cards, and The Americans. Can you give us some examples of some of the concepts that you've taken from those series and adapted them to Battlefield?
Sure. I think the biggest thing that we took away from the various TV shows that you mentioned, obviously really enjoying the themes of those shows and liking those shows and the writing of those shows and the acting. But, the thing that really spoke to us was the dialogue, and trying to have and construct dialogue that felt natural and felt like something you'd expect people to say, like you or I might say. A lot of the times, people can be pretty heavy-handed with dialogue. It can come off sounding very forced, especially in a game that tends to be very serious. We wanted to take more of just a more personal approach to the way that the characters talk to one another, whether it was funny one-liners or serious lines that they're delivering. We really try to dig into that. That was probably the biggest thing we keyed off of.
All right. I noticed Benito Martinez is one of the cast. He's in House of Cards and Sons of Anarchy. He's a big name. Who are some of the other big names you guys have been working with?
Well, we got an opportunity to work with Alexandra Daddario from True Detective. She's in the game. Kelly Hugh, who's been on all kinds of cool shows.
Wow.
And of course Eugene Bird. He's really great. So those are just a few of the guys and gals.
All right. Well, there's been a lot of talk about adding more humor to Battlefield. Why did you guys decide to make that change? I know you had it in the Bad Company series, which was pretty funny, but why did you guys change that up now?
Well, again, trying to lean into the fiction. One of the things that you'll notice in a lot of TV crime dramas or action films is the two factions actually talk to each other. So when you think about a war setting, the two sides talk amongst themselves. They don't talk to the opposition. They don't have like banter back and forth with them generally because they're really far away. But when you think about these crime dramas on TV, you get these standoff moments where the good guys are talking to the bad guys and they're going back and forth, and they have more banter with one another. So that just led to the idea of trying to have more interesting dialogue. And the humor part of it, again, like I was saying, we wanted it to feel natural. So throughout the course of the day, everybody's not always serious. They're saying some goofy things, and so we just thought that would feel natural. And again, trying to make it feel different and unique for our particular version of Battlefield.
All right, so I've actually played a little bit of the game, and one of the things that stood out to me was the freeze mechanic. And talk to me a little bit about that. What was the impetus behind that? It kind of gives players the option to be a more ruthless cop, going loud, guns blazing, or kind of do things a little bit more by the book, say freeze and arrest people. Did you guys come into the game kind of thinking of giving players that option, that choice?
Well, throughout the course of development, we always kind of challenged ourselves with, asking, hey, what makes this feel like you're playing as a detective, as a cop? What are the things that cops do, right? Like you think of, hey, I want to get in a squad car and turn on a siren, right? Whoop, whoop. That feels like being a cop. You want to have, the cool bulletproof vest and things like that. But as we started drilling down on mechanics, we had an idea of something called tension time, where we wanted to have the criminals kind of tell you to put your hands up. And we worked with that for a really long time, and we're trying to get that to work and be fun. But it always felt to us like, hey, we don't want to be the ones told to put our hands up. We want to tell them to put their hands up like a real police officer would. So that's when Freeze really got interesting to us, because then we really started doubling down on the idea of using it as almost a way to control the enemies and play more stealthily, and also kind of lean more into, as you said, playing by the book. So if a player wanted to really go for that non-lethal play style, they now had a viable opportunity to do that. And as we tested the game throughout the course of development, we were seeing that players actually really liked that, the option, whether they wanted to, try being stealthy for a while, and then when things kind of went south, they could then pick other different ways to defend themselves. And of course, even if you did alert enemies in our game, you still have the opportunity to try to get away and hide and cool them off, so you can continue playing non-lethally, with things like our stun gun.
All right. Well, that's the end of my questions, Steve. I want to thank you for coming on the show with us. We really appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time. You have a great one, and good luck out there tomorrow.
Thank you, Hugh, and really excited for you and everybody else to play the game. Really looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Have a great one. And guys, make sure you check out my Battlefield Hardline review this Friday night. I'm going to go into the game like I always do, and we're going to get you all hooked up with what's new with Battlefield Hardline, single player and multiplayer. Thanks for joining us today.